Hey everyone, thank you for joining us again. Welcome back to Knockout Argument, where we try to make our case in one shot. I'm Chris, of course.
And I'm Chris too.
Yes, sir.
Thank you for joining us. Before we get started, we have to remind you as always to please subscribe to the channel, like this video, hit the notification bell so you're notified anytime we drop new arguments. Mr. Woods, why are we here today?
Why are we here, Ramos? Well, I've been watching The Last of Us. I'm sure you've been watching that as well. Have you been watching it?
Yes, absolutely.
I've been enjoying it. Didn't play the game or anything like that. Nothing against the game or anything. I just didn't play it myself. But I am enjoying the show. I'm enjoying the characters. It's well directed, well acted. It's beautiful to look at. I mean, the cinematography is on point. But yeah, I've been enjoying it. And this last episode was pretty sweet. Episode 3.
Episode 3?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
I like that episode. And I have been enjoying this series a good bit. I also have not played this video game, but in fairness, that's because I haven't played any video games in years. I'm old and I don't get the time for video games.
I was about to say, don't blame it. Like, old people play video games.
Yeah, not this one though.
Yeah.
So
but I get not having any time either.
I have been enjoying this show, and I'm curious to see what argument you bring from this show, because I know they had a lot of solid scenes, and this episode was one. It's maybe my favorite of the season so far. I really enjoyed it. So what are you arguing today?
Well, I would agree with you. It's one of my favorite of the season so far. I mean, granted, we're only a couple episodes deep, but I gotta tell you, and we've talked about this before, the show is more about people than it is about zombies. And this episode, I was surprised that they went here. I didn't expect to see that from this type of show. And so the argument that I'm bringing today is this the best on-screen portrayal of a couple? I thought it was pretty strong. I mean, it was
a good episode.
What they did was very believable here, and this is
Okay.
This I feel like this is a very strong argument.
Well, this was a hell of a show, a hell of an episode on what I feel has been a hell of a show. It's been really enjoyable, really entertaining. I'm curious. I'm not a very good watcher of just about anything, as you know, and as we've mentioned before. I play on my phone a good bit.
Yeah.
So often I can miss things that more observant people like yourself or more focused people aren't missing. So I'm anxious to revisit this scene. I think that you have some hope. Yeah, we'll see. We'll see where we go.
We're gonna dive into the minutia.
Yes, sir.
Now,
Now,
this
is there anything that we need to know going into this episode?
Well, so as always, the rules are, if you are, kind of on the fence with this, like not good, not bad, basically indifferent, then you know what that is. That's that's one of these guys. It's basically, you know what I mean. It's okay. It's okay. However, if you totally hated it, you know what that is too. That's obviously
I'm
a thumbs
looking forward
down.
to dropping one of those on you.
I don't
sir.
expect to see any of these because this is a strong argument, bro. Strong argument.
We'll see.
If, however, you are digging this, which I'm pretty sure, you are, because again, it's really well done, really well done. Give that guy a thumbs up and add another win to your boys.
Another win. Oh boy, I hope this is a disappointing scene. I cannot wait. I hope you picked the worst scene of this show.
It surely will not be.
Are you ready to get into it then?
I am, sir.
Is there anything that viewers who haven't been watching it would need to know going into
Just
this?
a kind of quick synopsis. So again, I didn't expect this from this show, but at this point, we kind of venture off from Joel and Ellie. They're kind of heading towards. I actually think they're headed towards Bill and Frank's house. Right?
Yeah, and these are our protagonists.
Yes.
Joel and Ellie. So this story isn't about the protagonist. This is kind of a standalone
It's kind of like
episode.
a sub. Yes, kind of like a sub story. Like there's a good third of the time spent on Joel and Ellie, but then it kind of goes off onto Bill and Frank. The way they're introduced is pretty interesting. He catches them in a hole. Then it kind of turns into a budding relationship. When it starts to get into situations, like again, it's all about the details. They had this argument, which I thought was really cool, and it was about things that you would argue about in a zombie apocalypse.
Yeah, whether or not to keep the town up. Yeah.
Yeah.
That was good.
I thought that was also really or let people in. And I think that then they show they have dinner with Joel and Tess, which I thought was also pretty cool. But then it gets to the point where I believe there's a raid, and funny, the scene right after that when the guy ends up in a wheelchair, I thought that was Bill. It was reversed, and then it turns out Frank has some kind of degenerative disease. I believe it's ALS.
I don't know what he has, but
Some
he's
people
not doing well.
Yeah, not doing well at all. Some people have been saying it's cancer. I think it's ALS. Some interesting things that I noticed is he's a painter, and you can see through his paintings how his disease has progressed. He has really sharp paintings. A lot of them are Bill, ironically.
Man, I really don't pay attention. I need to go back and see that.
And, well, in this scene, when he's painting, he's in the wheelchair. You can see how it's starting to taper off. But something the abstractness of it was really cool to look at. And so now the scene that we're at now, Frank has exposed one morning his plans for what they want to do for from here on out. And I think at this his what he says to Bill and Bill's response, I think it's a pretty, again, it's an honest portrayal of what I think a real relationship should look like. And I believed it, I felt it. So that's where we are. I think that's a pretty good description. Would you say?
Yeah, absolutely. Can I give it a premature thumbs down? Just you ready to get into this one?
Yes, I am.
All right then,
All right,
let's do this.
Let's go.
Most of the night. I'm exhausted.
He didn't even sleep that night.
You gotta be
He didn't even
kidding
close
me.
his eyes.
I don't want you falling asleep in the chair. I'm exhausted. God damn it. You gotta be kidding me.
I feel
I
that.
don't want you falling asleep in the chair.
Oh.
I'm not fighting about it. Back in
I
bed.
promise you I'm gonna stay up.
Why?
Because this is my last day.
What if someone shows up who can help?
Who's coming, Bill? The door-to-door MRI salesman? There wasn't anything to cure this before the world fell apart.
Yeah.
I've made up my mind. I'm not going to give you the every day was a wonderful gift from God speech. I've had a lot of bad days. I've had bad days with you, too. But I've had more good days with you than with anyone else. Just give me one more good day. Take me to the boutique where I'll pick outfits for us. You'll wear what I ask. We'll get married. Then you will crush all of these up, put them in my wine. I will drink it. Then you will take me by my hand, bring me to our bed, and I will fall asleep in your arms.
Damn, bro.
Yeah, I don't think we've said a word this whole time.
What can you say?
Do you love me?
Yes.
Then love me the way I want you to.
I feel him on that, man. I understand where Frank is coming from when he says that, he doesn't want to do this anymore. He doesn't want to end his life in that way. But I understand Bill not wanting to let him go.
So yeah, it's like, what do you say to that? That's when he cries, it's like I understand that sentiment. You know what I mean? Anybody should. It's like, what do you do? think this song, I can't think of the title of the song, but the guy, I think his name is Max Richter. It's the same music that plays in Arrival. It's a beautiful piece of music.
Mm. I'm surprised they went this far into the apocalypse without getting married.
Yeah.
You know, if this is all it took, they weren't waiting for a priest or anything.
Yeah.
It's a beautiful gesture, but
maybe they just didn't feel like it, didn't matter.
Why would it matter?
Yeah.
I mean,
I think up until this point, they just never looked at it as it was not important. Is that the first meal he cooked for him?
what was that? It looks the same as that first meal that one that
What was it, rabbit or lamb or something like that he made?
I think it was rabbit. I think you're right. He paired it with the right wine.
Yeah. I think we both seen this episode. I think at this point I knew what he was going to do.
Yeah. I had my suspicions too. All right.
All right. That was The Last of Us, episode 3. I think it's called Long Time. Yeah.
That sounds right.
Yeah. Again, this is we're only on episode 4 right now, but I think this is my favorite of the 4 episodes that I've seen so far. So
I might agree with that. I think that this was an excellent episode. Really well written, really well acted. So I think you brought a decent discussion point here. Let's see if you also brought a good case. But
I think so too. Well, let's get right into it. So what was the good that you liked about it?
I loved that this seemed like a really honest portrayal of what a relationship can be. Not just in this scene. There's other scenes that lend themselves to it, but in this scene specifically, there's a lot of pulling, tugging back and forth between them as one of them is telling him that he's not able to continue down this journey. He doesn't want to end his life in that way. And the other person is struggling to accept this. That's not something that I imagine would be easy to accept, even in an apocalyptic setting where there really is no hope. This isn't like today where the doctors may figure something out.
He even makes a statement, this was incurable even before the zombie apocalypse or before the apocalypse.
Right.
That's what he says.
So he knows.
Or everything went to shit.
Right. This is actually, it is absolutely the end of his life. This is going to end his life, and he doesn't want to go down that way. So seeing Bill respond to it and crying and only saying I can't. It's
a hard cry,
that.
man.
Yeah, absolutely.
I definitely felt that. That's probably the 3rd time I've watched that scene. It still gets me.
Yeah, I probably should watch it a few more times before, to pick up all the details. Clearly, I had missed some things, but that was a really, really strong portrayal of a couple on screen.
I agree.
Stands to be seen whether or not it's strong enough to be a contender for the best.
Well, we'll use that as a segue. So what was the bad then?
Well, the bad news, it's kind of outside of this episode to some degree. It's the bad news is that I'm aware that there's other episodes, other scenes, other movies, other shows that have alternate depictions of couples that could possibly be better contenders for that top spot. I'm not going to mention any here, just so that I can bring the arguments in the future.
He wants to bring the arguments himself.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm not going to just
that's fair.
Burn it off now.
That's fair.
But I don't know that this is absolutely the best depiction of a relationship, of a couple that I've seen on screen. As you mentioned before, this is a story that deviates from our main cast And so, you know, as a standalone episode, it is a really good depiction of a couple, but they've now thrown this into a story that really isn't about Bill and Frank.
I agree with you there. It does not advance the story of Joel and Ellie that much. There are details, but it doesn't really
Absolutely,
move the
it
story
adds some
along.
dimension to
Yeah.
it, but you're right. It doesn't feel like it advances it a lot more.
But I have
I'm
a-
fine with the detour. But
I have a quick rebuttal.
Oh,
quick
okay.
quick rebuttal, and then I want to see what you give me, because I think that I still get a W out of this, you know. But I'm confident. I'm confident in that. However, I gotta say, the thing that won me over mostly with the scene, again, I didn't see it coming, was the fact that I'm a heterosexual male, as are you, and none of that matters in this case. It was
no, this was two
these-
people in love.
everything that they showed in this episode was relatable. It didn't matter. None of that shit matters. It was just, those are relationship problems. When Frank tells him what he wants to do that morning, and Bill's response and his emotional response, like that cry, everybody can relate
That
to
was
that.
a good ugly cry.
Yeah, because it's like, yes, everybody cries ugly like that whenever you can't do anything about that, like dealing with somebody who's has some kind of terminal illness or seeing your loved one sick. That is relatable. It was an honest portrayal, and I believed it. And so that's why I think this is a strong argument.
It's a decent argument. You made your case.
Well, so what's my score? Give me that win.
Well, a little cocky, man. I do think that there are other really, really good portrayals of couples on screen. This isn't the be-all, end-all necessarily. But the reality is it did include some things in there that you just don't get to see as well in other scenes and other properties. For example, when Bill cries in that "I can't," he hunches his shoulders in. It becomes a very childlike cry. It's just a powerful thing, especially since he's a bigger guy, you know. And we meet him as a survivalist, a prepper, sitting in a bunker with a rifle, and to see him like that later on, it is
That vulnerability,
touching.
yeah.
And so reluctantly, I am going to give this a thumbs up. Another win.
The truth cannot be denied.
Yeah, well,
The truth
this
cannot
was
be
really
denied.
good. This was a good one. I can't blame you for bringing this one and for being so confident about it.
Well, we can both agree that this is a great show, and again, it's great because it's not about the zombies, it's about people, and this is one aspect of that.
Absolutely. All of the other
Very
zombie
interesting.
stories that we've seen them from early on, or almost all of them. We've seen them from early on in the zombie apocalypse, and so that's the story that we're getting. You know, this is how these people are going to survive to this point.
Right.
And
What
now
is
we're
this?
starting
It's like 20 years
20
later.
years
Yeah.
later. Yeah, so we're starting this story at the point that those guys are trying to get to. You know, because we don't know eventually if any of our zombie survivors actually survive to the end. We don't know what's going to see them 20 years down the line. You know, what does civilization look like now? Maybe it looks like this. And that's the story that we're getting right now. So this isn't about the zombies. It's about what happens 20 years down the line when people have already gotten used to living in a world of zombies.
Absolutely.
So
Absolutely.
I
I feel like this show warrants a deeper discussion that we unfortunately can't have right now.
Oh, we'll revisit this.
We'll
I
definitely
think
revisit
time and
this,
time
believe
again. This is a really good show.
I agree.
So please jump into the comments. Let us know what scene, what argument from this show we should do next. I really like The Last of Us, so I'm willing to bring the arguments, even if they're a little more obscure and long shot arguments. I'll bring them.
We're willing to make them.
I'm willing to make them. You go for your short bets every time.
As always, don't forget to like this video and subscribe to the channel. Just like always, hit that notification bell. And again, we thank you for joining us. I appreciate it, I'm sure.
Yes, I appreciate you also.
And we'll see you here next time.
Yes. Peace.
Peace.